Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. I'm really glad you're here. I'm walking through this little forested area in a place that's just west of Olympia, Washington. Darlene and I have come out here with the grandkids to try to escape the sweltering heat of South Florida. It can get kind of hot down there, so this is a much better place to be. We've rented a little place out here right next to an inlet called Mud Bay. I know you're looking at the thing going, it doesn't look that muddy to me. I mean, it's pristine and clean all the way up into the headlands. Beautiful water. But when the moon is pulling from the other direction, oh, what a difference a few billion gallons of water can make, because it is completely mudded over. So much so, in fact, that I decided I need to make a video of this place just so people can see what this looks like. What a contrast between high and low tide. It's amazing. Anyway, we're coming up on a place right here where I want to throw the drone up in the air. So what we need to do is throw on our flight gear and get ready to check out Mud Bay Inlet from the upside. Well, hey, check it out. Look at this lovely little creek running out of the hillside here. Well, at least it looks like a lovely little creek until we get to here. Then it becomes a little bigger than a creek. I think this is a little bit more than just a creek. As a matter of fact, it's an inlet, and it's called Eld Inlet. I mean, isn't this a gorgeous thing? Clean, pristine, smooth water, reflecting the blue sky and the green trees. Gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. But like I said in the intro, this gorgeous body of water has a little bit darker side, because when the moon is pulling from the other direction, oh, what a difference a few billion gallons of water can make. We'll talk about that in a minute. Check out this freeway right here. This is called Highway 101. It starts right here in Olympia, Washington, just a couple miles from here, and runs all the way down the west coast of this country, down to Los Angeles, California. Since I couldn't fly this thing in one big flight, I had to break it up into three, so we'll go back to the top and we'll pick it up again at low tide. Here we are again with our lovely little creek. And instead of it coming down to some pristine, beautiful water, it just continues to run right through a whole lot of, well, we're just going to call it mud. This little creek is called McLean Creek, running through the mud of Eld Inlet. Welcome to the dirtier side. And this is why they call it Mud Bay. This is some pretty nasty mud. If you were to get stuck in here, this stuff would not let go. It would hold your shoes or boots or whatever hat you had on, and it would suck it right off the bottom of your foot. This is some ugly mud. Well, we're going to continue on down from here. The problem is the FAA won't let me fly across an active freeway like this, so what we'll have to do is jump across this freeway and that road in the back, which is Mud Bay Road, and we'll pick it up on the other side of that road at high tide. So here we are, high tide again. You see this little tree here on the left, the one that's kind of bending out over the water? Yeah, that one right there. This is where I had to fly from during this part of the flight. Yeah, leaning up against that root was not a great idea. I got pitch all over my pants. What a mess that was. Beautiful place, isn't it? High tide is a gorgeous time when this place is full of water. Now there's a fisherman that runs up and down this little inlet with his flat bottom boat. He's got a crane on the thing, and they run up and down here and they pull these little pots off the bottom, and they dump all of the mud and stuff that's in those pots onto the deck of his boat. And they make themselves a big old pile of mud right in the middle of the deck of that boat. And then, after they got all the pots up, they bring screens up on the side of the boat and they start washing that mud off. And whatever's in that mud gets caught up in those screens, and then they turn around and they sell that. And that's how he makes his living. I would love to be able to say I know exactly what those are that he's getting out of that mud, but I really don't. I used to sit and watch him from the porch with a set of binoculars that we had in the house all the time. It was quite the operation he had going. Well, here we are again, checking it out on this section at low tide. The only thing you got running through here is McLean Creek. It's quite the contrast from high tide, isn't it? Now, I was talking about that fisherman and his pots. There's a you can see them sitting on the bottom of the bay right there. There's a whole bunch of them sitting right there, 20 or 30 of them. Those are the ones that he picks up. Now he'll pick those up, dump all that stuff out, and he'll place them somewhere else. He keeps moving them around. It's very interesting. And this is the third and final section of the thing that I flew. Again at high tide. We were living up here, where we're staying in a little place just up here on the left-hand side of the bay. That's me standing there on the shoreline. That little brown house in the back behind the big tree, that's the one we were staying in. That was a beautiful place. Now when the tide goes out, it really goes out to right about here. From about this point outward is all water, and from this point forward is where the mud is. And you can kind of see that reflected here. As you come up around this next big corner, it starts to become more and more watery, and it doesn't really go out much farther than this. And you can see the final pieces of McLean Creek here on the lower right-hand side of the screen. I found this place to be really interesting. Well, there's a few other things I wanted to fly real quick before we ended this, and they are some cattle sitting in the field up here. Now, these aren't real cattle. These are sculptures that somebody welded together. There are actually 4 of them. This is the largest of them, and it's a cow. Look at how big it is compared to that tractor. The other 3 are sitting just in another field up the creek a little ways. This bull looks like he's getting ready to charge. Looks a bit angry. And there's Mom and her calf in the back. These sculptures are sitting in this field just along Highway 101 here. They attract a lot of attention from the passerbys. This was a great flight. Well, I'd like to thank everybody for joining me on our adventure as we explored the high and low tides of Eld Inlet, or as the locals would call it, Mud Bay. If you liked this video, go ahead and smash that like button. If you want to join me on some more of my videoing adventures, subscribe to the channel. I'd love to have you along. So from Mud Bay here, just west of Olympia, Washington, I'll sign off by saying, Arrivederci.